Hey Vlad, good morning.
Hey, Vasu, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
It's been years. We went to that dinner after MC Square. I remember, if you remember me.
Yes, it's been a while. It's good to see you coming up in a different spot. It's cool.
Thank you very much for doing this for us.
Not at all. Always a pleasure. It's always
Amazing.
always great to support the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think we have Alfia as well.
Hello, Alfie.
Guys, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
Alfia. Good morning.
Okay, thank you. Hi, lad.
very good to see you. All right, let me just check the screen share. Small. Yes, that works.
Yeah,
Oh gosh, that's good. Do you guys have any slides you want to present or?
I think Alfia has one. But let me
Yep.
just. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Start from there.
we'll start it and maybe then we'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah,
Right?
just if you want to check if it is working, you can just present and then you can stop. Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
I have already checked that. Hold on. Let me know if it is visible.
Yep.
Yes, it is. Good morning, Roshan.
Hey
I
Vlad,
think
how are you?
Very good. Very good. Good morning.
Yeah, I just saw your message that you joined earlier, 1 hour earlier due to daylight saving.
Oh, okay. Is it?
Yeah, I was glad because I thought when I did registration and go, oh great, it's to the calendar link, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And then I'm looking at the calendar, I'm going, oh, hold on a second, that's actually almost now, which should be. So I'm glad I did check.
No, I thought to just give you a reminder so that at runtime we don't face any issues.
Thank you. No, that's good. I'm
Yeah.
glad we're here.
All right. Okay.
How many folks do we have?
So far, 12.
Okay. We'll wait for another 1 minute and then we can begin.
Yeah, we can wait till yeah, for 2 minutes, 11 4, 11 5, we can start.
Okay. All right.
All right. I think Alfia, you can take it away.
All right, then. Good morning, everyone. I thank you so much for joining this session that is on Saturday morning. So, to begin with, I would like to welcome everyone as a Pune Marketeers lead along with Wasim here. And hence, we are collaborating with Pride Force, which is initiated by Roshan and Shivam. So, I welcome everyone. This Pride Force basically comes with two phases. One phase is like personality development, and the another phase is Salesforce product training. So that one of the part which we are conducting today. Well, my slide says that I have learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And this quote is stated by Maya Angelou, which is a very beautiful quote. To begin with, since we are collaborating with Pride Force, I would like to have everyone meet the team. So in the team we have advisory board Gilda. I hope everyone knows her. Then we have Fanendra, and we have JP, that is Jyotsna. So whatever we do in this by this initiative, we make sure that our advisory team is taken care of, and all the content and everything is made sure by the advisory team. So this is the team basically which is bringing you the initiative, and I will not waste much time to meet our today's speaker, that is Vladimir Salak. He is CTO and founder at Carbonex Group and is none other than an OG in the data cloud space. So I'll just hand it over to Lad. And before that, Roshan, would you like to speak anything with respect to Brightverse?
Yeah, thanks, Alfia, for taking out time. And I know we all are a little bit, jumbling up with the times and the schedule. But thank you very much, Vlad, for taking out time on the request. You just said yes to this, um, session. And since the Pride Force, we have a commitment to provide an equal opportunity across the board within the community, and that's where community stands by. Community is something which stands with equality, equal values, and treating every individual and providing every individual, irrespective of their originality, sexuality, and their origins. So, and thank you so much, Vlad, and entire marketer group Pune for joining hands and taking it ahead. So, over to you, Vlad. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone for taking time and joining the sessions, and I guess welcome everyone to the opportunity to learn, share experiences, and ask questions. These are always great things, and I hope to bring you and share with you a little bit of a guidelines based on my experience, something that we've been doing for quite a while now, collectively, I guess, across the community, and give you some tips with regards to maybe a potential path and opportunity for you from the product learning perspective. As the guy said, Vlad Salik, I'm a CTO and co-founder of the Carbonex. We are at the moment a small, relatively young consulting company that specializes on Salesforce portfolio of products. I did celebrate the fact that I was welcomed to the family of marketing champions this year, and at the same time, I'm one of the co-leads for Datablazer Global Community Group as well. So that's one of the probably reasons why I can share with you some of the insights of the learning. I guess I don't have a lot of slides. So my idea was to come into the session with maybe few thoughts in my mind. One of them was to share a little bit of my background, to maybe demonstrate a path to to the journey with Salesforce Data 360 or Data Cloud or any other name that you know that product by, because it did change over the time so many times. Share with you some tips and maybe even extend the thinking. The idea is not just to learn one product, but what career can you build forward? Because I like the fact that, as Roshan said, this is all-inclusive journey. Everyone can start something new today and effectively change their life, change their careers, if that's the objective, if the choice that you have. So you can jumpstart and do that. So maybe kind of like going a little bit backwards from my sort of experience and perspective. As I said, I'm a CTO these days, working with the customers, and really the main thing for me is leadership of the technology, sort of oversight and governance of our delivery practices, and making choices for customers, helping them and guiding them on, how do you realize the most value from your investment into Salesforce or any other technology products. That's really big objective that we set for ourselves as part of the business. But all of that is built on the foundation of me spending, just over 11 years at Salesforce. I did start at the Marketing Cloud at the time, professional services team as a solution architect, and then over the time kind of evolved into a practice lead, help expand our delivery practices of professional services around marketing across APAC region, as we sort of further started evolving and went through the acquisition of Salesforce, or rather by Salesforce, leaned into joining the forces with more of like a Salesforce core specialty. So it wasn't just a Marketing Cloud anymore, it was becoming the entire portfolio of products. Interesting time, and I transitioned out into working with consulting partners. So part of my role became educating consultants across the world. I mean, my focus was APAC, but I was very privileged and lucky to join the team that has a global remit. And it meant that I've got an opportunity to meet so many talented individuals across the world, get their experience, share the stories, and a lot of the learnings that we develop and design over the time has lessons learned and incorporated some of the input from so many people and individuals. And I'm forever grateful to everyone who over the time shared their stories, the successes, the failures, what worked for them, what didn't, because we couldn't have done it, as just a single individuals or a few people who were at the time able to start building these educational programs, as well as building certifications for example, Data Cloud, which was great fun. But yeah, we couldn't have done it just ourselves. It was a lot of trials and errors, a lot of input, a lot of feedback, and hopefully that's something that I can share with you today, just a bit of an outlook, what kind of works as a bit of success. Before that, I did work in the software development company. I spent a good number of years there. It was a bit of a startup, and I kind of came out of the university, pretty much got into the industry. Again, sheer luck, straight after uni. I did join as a developer, moved into like development lead, and ultimately to the architect role. And it was great because I did have an opportunity to explore proper software development, life cycle. I've done the coding. I worked with all the, at the time, available database engines in the raw form. So before the software as a service kind of really proliferated as much, but we were already kind of building up kind of on the side when Salesforce was growing up and booming up. So it was interesting time, interesting learnings, and it was interesting to evolve from being a software developer to move into SaaS space where marketing at the time was not really a lot of development, but more of configuration, and kind of changed the way we did things and challenged the way I thought about that. That helped me to see how the tools work under the hood. And I think when I reflect on a lot of the times how I learn new things and how I pick up a lot of, sort of successful pathways in the world of today, it was just truly thankful to the experiences that I had, because whenever I think about why the system doesn't do what it's supposed to do, I can almost go and decompose what's happening behind the scenes, guesstimate it, and relatively well enough, most of the time at least, I've seen that the guests are sort of getting very close to what really happens behind the scenes, because I kind of learned, pretty well the foundations of the software. So that was really great learning and a good experience to have, because now a lot of the times you kind of just learn how to operate, how to use these tools, but you already know the foundations and you kind of have a good understanding how they work behind the scenes. But at the same time, what was interesting as part of that, 11 years at Salesforce, when I met a lot of individuals across the world, knowing and seeing how many different pathways people come from into the realm of Salesforce, and specifically marketing, later into data domain, and then even further out into like transition, as we all do now, partially or more involved with AI and agentic experiences. So there's plenty of opportunity to innovate, plenty of opportunity to explore and lead, because I personally feel that these days there is no reference point for a lot of us. Like all the agentic opportunities are net new. There is no reference to say what are the best practices. They're being built and they evolve so fast, so drastically, that it provides pretty much a reset for all professionals, because we all are almost now at the same, or growing more or less with the same pace, and have an opportunity to equally, evolve fast, evolve with, taking time, or choose kind of join later. Like it's every pathway is the right one. It's just what matters and what is useful and right for you. But it is interesting to observe. And as a kind of lead to that, I was curious to see if in the chat, I don't know if you would be keen to maybe share like where your backgrounds are coming from. Like what skills do you guys come from? Are you coming from Salesforce, particular products? Are you coming from general software development? Are you coming up from completely different, not software associated industries? And just, if you don't mind typing in, I'm curious about the background of who are on the calls today. And don't be shy. This is all good. It's a safe space. Yeah, nice. A lot of number of people. Salesforce, great. Web developers, fantastic. Marketing, love that. He's always winning my heart. CRMA and MC, nice. Lakshmi, good to see you. Fabulous. Look at that Twilio segment. Excellent. Yeah, there's plenty of different backgrounds, but that's great. And yeah, keep sharing while I'm talking. But this is great. It's good to see at least a good number of people who are from Salesforce background. So a lot of that would be familiar to you, and that's really, really good. I did a couple of sessions in the last maybe 6 months, and in them I kind of shared, because part of my onboarding experience. So coming up of the of the software development background, completely new to marketing, digital marketing, I should say. Part of my university sort of background was doing sort of economy and business sort of tracks, and I was quite familiar with marketing as a general concept. I've done pretty interesting courses. It did kind of catch my eye at the time, and I had a good understanding of what needs to happen in terms of what marketing is all about. So coming up from the software development into, at the time, ExactTarget, and transitioning into Salesforce, it was interesting to spend probably 2 first years of my career there learning digital marketing and understanding how is it different from general marketing as an approach. So when I started at the time, my mentor who was hiring me, and he was my manager indirectly, but by the way, his onboarding advice was, you need to get this book. So when I started, I was pretty much got that on my Kindle, flying to US, 14 hours reading on the way there, and pretty much the same time almost reading on the way back. This was a big foundation at the time, and it made so much impression on me, transitioning from purely looking into user experiences and how you navigate the software to how do you operate in the digital marketing world. And I did choose, there were 2 other books, but this was the biggest impact because I truly loved data. And I realized that I can understand what needs to happen in the space of data and how you operate and what it actually means to derive the value. It did introduce some of the concepts of data analysis, thinking about how do you do qualitative research, how do you set the goals, objectives, measures in place, and then analyze what the impact is on everything you do within the digital marketing space. And all of that was driven, as the title says, pretty much by data. It was fabulous time. We were kind of transitioning into the space of bigger, better capabilities to collect, to store, and process information. And I do remember the motto at the time was, bring us as much data as you can, because as a marketing team, then you can make sense of what's happening with the customers who interact with different brands. And of course, kind of think through how do you evolve and change that communication going forward, because you become more personalized, you become more contextualized. And when you have the conversation with people, and you being as a consumer, or at least I looked always at that, if I'm a user of a particular brand or service, what can I get, or how rather can I get a better service? What would it mean to have a better service, right? So these are the sort of questions and foundations that came through. As the time evolved, and we sort of moved into a bigger, and significantly large data sets, all of that became almost a challenge, because we hit the point where you've got so much information, but pretty much no one knows what to do with that. And it was a completely innovative mindset shift from, okay, there is operationally, you set up different customer communication experiences. You manage your data sets to understand who people are, how do you interact with them, what are the different signals they exhibit, and how do you see that in the world of data? And then looking into, because we have so vast data sets, and now like anomalies can start deriving from that, and it could be good and bad, right? So that these are the things that can make a big difference in either positive or negative sentiment for the businesses. That's where predictive capabilities started coming up. And it was interesting to learn a bit of how do you design different data models to start looking into not just analyzing result, but potentially working towards how can we predict what the most likely next action, activity, or behavior the customer can exhibit, what service they would prefer to receive, what products they would prefer to buy or be interested and curious to explore. And again, if you think about all of these activities, and a number of you shared, you're coming up from the SFMC background, like you would be very, very familiar with all of these concepts, because a lot of the focus on Marketing Cloud was not just building a data model of who are the individuals and what attributes they have, but at the same time, what are the things they do and how we can recognize that, put it into the action, and kind of start fueling a bit more intelligent conversations, drive personalization, drive significant timings to be accurately engaging with customers. All of that comes from data. Like that was the there was if you look and search on the internet today, because I did that a few months back out of curiosity, when I was starting and I was doing my presentation pitch to join the company, one slide in my presentation was the content is the king, and equally there was a data is the king. And it's almost like if you search now, you can find both points and both pictures that represent a lion sitting, and you've got data is the king, and there's content is the king, and it's a consistent fight. I took the side of, and again, don't blame me for it, but I took the side that data is the king, and it sort of resonated, and that was really, really the big foundation. And if you look into the world of today, where specifically in Salesforce, right, the whole idea and notion of Data 360, it's ultimately the foundations of everything. It is a solid starting point for everything we do going forward into the future of Salesforce. I mean, the announcement at TDX this week about headless, 360 and all other things. Like, if you really look at everything that happens, a lot of great comments, a lot of great posts, a lot of people deliberate on the fact that, yes, this is all possible. You can have really sophisticated and easy to connect with API. You've got different MCP servers. You've got ability to sort of interact with different systems without structuring like big, complicated user interfaces. Of course, that change. But if you think about that, even at the level of API communications, where an agent can talk to another agent and exchange information, it's all grounded in data. So without having a very solid, very accurate, and very expressive data model that both can understand well, it's becoming a very difficult problem all of a sudden. It's easy enough to create the connectivity tissue. It's easy enough these days to establish connection between one or more systems, but it's quite still challenging to figure out the common language between all of them, because data is like Rosetta Stone. We can all have varieties of different expression languages, but we all need to find a common way to communicate so that everyone can understand what account means. We as humans can challenge ourselves and think about what account means for you. And then if you ask your neighbor, if you ask another colleague, and if you ask your peers, like, you would be surprised how many variations of what account as the term could mean to people. And I think about the same, expressing that in the technical terms and finding the common denominator across the platforms to say we should express account in the exact same way, regardless of the system that is interacting with the data. So that's where the whole data piece became almost, again, more and more important, because everything flows through that layer of data. There's exchange of information, and it's significant, it's enormous. There is very little opportunity to run things manually, because if you do manually, it all kind of goes too slow for the pace of how the world operates and works today. And that's why it's again, it kind of fills my heart with joy, because my last 4 years at Salesforce were pretty much all around data enablement and all the programs of education around Data 360. As I said, we started with different names of the product. I won't even mention them because there have been 5 of them, and it doesn't need to go more complicated than Data 360 because it's a recent one and it should stick. But all in all, it was really, really empowering to see from the Dreamforce at the end of last year and TDX again this year, like a lot of the conversations you would continue seeing, AI, agentic, but all of them require a very solid data framework. The big difference as well today, in addition to structured information that we have, there is proliferation and opportunity to introduce unstructured content. So thinking about all the, web experiences, the blog posts, the reports that people share about financial companies, or rather financial reports about the company performances. You look at the receipts that we receiving across the different sense of businesses. You've got video, audio recordings, you name it. The information is so vast, and now we have ability to still make it part of the single data layer, single data model, and to be able to interact and truly build almost like excessively personalized experiences if we need to, based on information that kind of floats around us. So that was really, to me, again, as I said, exciting and very liberating to be staying assured with the fact that it doesn't matter how the product evolves within the next 5 to 10 years, I would still have employment. I will be still busy helping our customers, and a lot of consultants just finding their way to work with the product and operate with that and deliver solutions that empower someone else's lines of businesses and make advantage and use of all of that information. I did want to share in the marketing group in Australia, we did have, and I did remember Lakshmi was here, so she was part of that presentation as well. And I wanted to share that one of the ladies, Belinda, shared her backstory, and it resonated with me, because I feel like it's one of the easiest way to explain people why data is important and why it has such potential for the future for all of us, with the evolution of industries and professional lines. If you look about, if you think about the business and application of any technology that you can come across, you have business outcomes that are super significant to the overall. Why would the business invest into any tech and invest into digital transformation, business transformation, regardless, just how do they innovate the business? It's all about how do we get business outcomes. If we're doing a good customer service, we want to do a better one tomorrow. How do we do that? The technology comes as the means to empower the outcome and achieve the outcome. So if you're looking into, we want to do a better customer service, then we need to have a definition of what better means, and how do we get better at doing these things. So you start looking into, do we change the way we produce marketing content? Do we change the way we get the data from the customers about their experience with our products? Do we get the information from the web and now analyze and establish the sentiment of our consumers and what they talk about us as the brand in general? And as you start kind of looking into that, it still leads almost to the exact same point. Like, the business outcomes are enabled through technology, but in order to do a lot of these things, you need the data. And the data pretty much just flows between the business needs, establishing the goals, measures, factors of success, and then translate it into technology in terms of where do you start, what do you collect, how do you process, and then what results do you derive? How do you visualize them? How do you surface these reports? How do you activate next actions? How do you build predictive models? How do you build intelligent interactions and conversations? Like all of that fueled with data. So that whole spot in the middle where you're translating and working on how the data becomes valuable to the business and how it's used and applied within the technology landscape is a fantastic place to be, because technology could mean a data story, a data mart, data visualization. It could mean marketing experience. It could mean sales and service experience. It could mean everything else. And not last at all, agentic AI. Like, this is fabulous time in technical world, in my opinion. If you have any interest to look into the anything to do with data, it's just like, this is great, because it gives you, as I said, a reset. We're all at the equal pace, at the equal opportunity, and we can just start looking and exploring, how can I, as an individual, get involved, learn a little bit about that if it's a new domain to me, and then start practicing and becoming an expert. If you look at the competition, because that's the way I look into that, and you know, I talked to some of the folks I was going and doing the interviews in the last couple of months. AI is important and significant, and the pace of that is so drastically fast that we, as I said, we're all adapting. We're all trying to find our own ways to kind of live with that, work with that, apply it in different contexts. But what I'm finding very calming and soothing for me is that, and probably a bit of reiteration, I said it before, is just the fact that the data is still needed. With most of the customers that we have conversations with, we're implementing different solutions. We are doing Data 360. Like 99% of our projects are all with Data 360. That's the way we enabling other business use cases. That's the way we empowering customers to take advantage of the rest of technology. And I find that that's really, really exciting space to be. So that's to me was like, it's a great resonance, because it does have exact same almost validation of where it comes in. And a couple of other points before I'll open up for Q&A, I guess. If you think about Data 360 and how it all comes together as you start learning and potentially looking into building up this technology, I don't expect you to remember these today and kind of start taking notes and whatnot. The idea is, if you're thinking about where can you specifically maybe start your journey, where you can focus and centralize, if you're not necessarily doing the entire lot, but you can partition that and look into different stages, because the implementation of the data solution most of the time, and to be honest, this is not just Data 360. Like, if you think about the application of all of that, this is any data layer solution that would be applied in any business context will require these stages or steps or phases, whatever we call them, right? It's ultimately saying we take information from different systems on the left, we connect it in whatever new system, and in our case is Data 360. We bring it in, we connect it in different means and models and modalities and volume and veracity and all these little bits and pieces, whether it's API, batch, you name it. We may or may not need to do some transformation to prepare it in the specific format that is required for our use cases. We connect it into that centralized data model, that harmonization layer, which then enables, specifically with Data 360, ability to unify information. So you can recognize people that can be expressed in so many different ways. You actually can see them as an individuals. Or you can look at the business account perspective. You can look at the households these days, because that was a few recent innovations in data cloud space or Data 360 space. But all in all, you've got that unified view of people. And then the most important piece is you can now start taking actions. That's where agentic comes into play. This is where varieties of API-led consumptions. This is marketing automation, sales and service automations. These are triggers. These are segments. These are messages that can be sent across the wire, across the direct mails. Like, there's so many capabilities that can be empowered once the data is the right shape in the state where you can take advantage of that. Historically, and again, kind of coming up with number of people, like if you're coming from Marketing Cloud, engagement or any Marketing Cloud tool, Twilio as well, like a lot of the effort is traditionally built around how do we build that structured data model, that first two steps are like always the most challenging. And then consumption becomes that acting layer. It's almost like within the space of, okay, we're just sending marketing communications. What's great about Data 360 is you're no longer bound to one particular domain. And I find that almost empowering and liberating, because now if you come from traditional Salesforce sort of background, you've been doing sales and service, you might have been Salesforce administrator, you are now pretty much enabling next generation of data capabilities for the business. This is where so many different things can come into the play that previously have been really difficult to achieve. You have to struggle with flow. You have to think about what is stored on the platform, how quickly we can process, the limits of how many records can you process and digest within a single flow, interview execution, and so forth. Now, all of these are pretty much almost endless power. The Data 360 is a product that was built historically, organically built in hyperscaler mind space, meaning that the data lakehouse infrastructure underneath that is providing capability to store enormous amount of information, exactly to the needs of today and tomorrow. It does have strong and really scalable capabilities to process that data. It has very good and reliable real-time infrastructure to support so many innovative use cases. So if you think about legacy systems, and it was interesting for me specifically this week, was having a conversation with one of the customers. They are using Oracle Service Cloud. Just how used am I today with the fact that real-time is almost de facto story for me, like a default view of the world, of the data exchange, and then talking to them and they go, but we can't really do real-time triggers. The best effort that we can have today is, maybe 15 minutes at most. And I paused for a second and I thought, Jesus, how much we evolved from that hourly, daily, 15 minutes data refresh. And for marketing and Salesforce people, if you ever use Marketing Cloud Connect, you will understand that excitement of you can refresh every 15 minutes and then you can trigger the journey when the data in CRM changes, to the point where you can actually do so much more at such a bigger scale in real time today. And you can activate it out. It means it's not just getting in to the platform, but start thinking about how do you inform other systems on what they can and should be doing. That's fantastic play. Like if you're a technical wizard, if you like to tinker with all of these different various use cases, oh my God, I think you will have so much joy going up and learning about all of these capabilities, and really thinking about where can you apply your experiences, your technical skills, learn new things to augment them, so that you can start, whether you're a customer, whether you're just working for a consulting company, where you're consulting of your own business, how you can guide users of these technology tools into the world of today and tomorrow. Like that's such a great revolution and evolution for me. So last few things to say and share specifically for the study as you get into the space. Regardless where you come from, I always find it's helpful when you come with the open mind. I found over the time when I was doing a number of training sessions is talking to people when they come with trying almost to challenge the platform. Like they come with pre-knowledge, they come with knowing some other tools, and they always go, oh no, but that's not good. Oh no, why is it doing this way? Or why is it behaving that way? And I usually tell them, like, just don't question it, don't challenge it. Like questions are right, but like try not to challenge the platform in your mind. Try to come with an open mind and just take it all in. Do the reset. Whatever you might have learned, heard, whatever, usually when you start the learning, the best thing is just reset, come with an open mind, and be ready to take the information in. Majority of the series and bootcamps that I've been at least part of, and I've observed a number of them where I wasn't part of, people who are willing to share the knowledge and guide you through these learning experiences, they do have great background stories to share and great experience to rely on. So take it in and win from the fact that someone tells you their journey and guides you through the learnings, as opposed to going up and trying to scatter through all of that yourself. My second thing is I always encourage people to ask questions. There are never really silly or insignificant doubts. If you do have a question, it means someone else might have had a question. But I know that this is one of the things that quite often spoken about is if you have a doubt, ask, because most likely someone else have the same one. They're just too shy to ask about that, and they're too shy to look silly or put themselves into like in some way or shape or form to challenge and lose their confidence of themselves. none of that matters, because if you're coming to learn, again, with an open mind, the idea is that when you finish, when you leave, you have answers to all the questions that arise in your experience, in your mind, right? Because it's important. Everyone is different. Everyone learns different ways. And I even told people sometimes I can be very difficult to understand. It could be, whether it's the way I express things, the way I can talk about, I might have mixed, a terminology that you're not familiar with. And I'm so used to that I don't even recognize that. So being able to pinpoint that and say, flat, can you just explain it differently, like in a different way? People who are able to do that, I've seen that they're getting so much more benefit because of just that ability to be brave and, don't hesitate to ask and open the question. Embrace the learnings. And it's a bit of a reiteration of, don't try to challenge product capabilities. Try to understand how it works and try to learn and know and almost like feel it, right? Like it gets intuitive. It gets very easy to go, and there's almost a flow through the product if you're not trying to fight it through. You're not resisting to go and do it the right way. There is a pattern of how you do things in the right way. And with Data 360, I mean, maybe other data problems would be in a similar way. I do strongly believe that that's the case. You start with the end in mind. You start almost at the end and you play it backwards before you start doing things. So, as you go, it sometimes is, why we're doing it this way, it's a good question to ask. Just don't resist. Ask to understand. Don't ask to challenge. I think that's kind of like the message I was always trying to convey. I do encourage people to share success and troubles. It's one of the things that, especially if you go through learnings, if you get into doing practical, and that's one thing I would absolutely encourage every single one of you. Today, you're in the position to practically learn. There are trails, there are courses, there are different workshops. There's plenty of assets that you can use to learn in a practical way. And that is significant. But as you do that, when you join a specific cohort of learners, don't hesitate to share the small success. It encourages others. And I've seen that that's where the best sort of examples and the best success of the cohort learning is, when people start doing small exchange of, hey, I was fighting these for the last 2 hours and finally can figure that data ingestion, or, figure out how to map this particular data object. Like, they're small, could look as small and insignificant things, but they are wins. So do that. And if you get stuck, it's the other side. It's just go and ask, and if have anyone experienced the same thing, what did you do? Like, look again to go and say, you're not a single person who having difficulties. What others have done in this particular circumstance. So they're the things, and I close with just stay curious and have fun with it. If you struggling and suffering through the learning, that's not the learning, and nothing gonna stay. So having fun, enjoying it will make it stick. You will feel the product, you'll get to learn few things, and you will certainly gonna go and explore and stay adventurous with that. I encourage people to tinker with things. If you sometimes just go and say, I have a question in my mind, like, how would you solve that? Before you go and ask someone else, try it. Try to solve it on your own and go and break this org and spin up a new one and try it in a different place. It's just, the key thing is stay curious and keep trying, keep learning, keep doing it. That's, to me, is the fun of it. That's why I would be doing that. That's why I was doing that. And therefore, I encourage everyone else to enjoy and do the same things. So these are, I guess, my few tips and shares of experiences. And beyond that, if you're looking into kind of solidifying your, I guess, expertise these days, it's more or less the path that I feel I encourage people to look at these days. Like, what I find is helpful to me, what I feel would be the career path for success for the future within Salesforce domain is you go and do Data Cloud or Data 360 studies. I do encourage people to take the certification exam. It does help to solidify, and it is still, like, it's not a debate to win whether certification is meaningful or not. To me, they are, if you're doing it in the right way. So approach it. I've done the study, I've done some, maybe 1 or 2 implementations, or I'm working on one. As you practically build confidence, that's why it's a good time to go and take the exam. And it just helps you to almost discover where the gaps are to a degree, within the knowledge, within the experience. Extending that to the agentic AI space, again, I found that Trail, or rather Agent Blazor journey that has been built, starting with 3 different pages, 3 different layers, they're fantastic, and I found them, they've been very good practically. They encourage a lot more practical experience learning, and therefore I think that's a fantastic extension to building on top of your data skills. Seeing how practically Data 360 plays in the AI kind of implementation stories. The certified platform builder to me was a certificate, and again I took it as a certificate, but it was just more when I was transitioning from Marketing Cloud in the Salesforce realm. I did admin ages ago, and to me it's almost like a given, you have to have it. But what I found was, especially as I started working more with Data Cloud, I had to look into using flows, and I thought I might as well just go and do a good study on that. I spent maybe a week or 2 going through the certification trail mix. I did a couple of other extra additional learnings on top of it. I took the exam and I found it relatively accessible to me because most of the things I was doing through Data Cloud activities and the course itself was really good because there's plenty of practical learnings you do. It almost made like click to me, and I'm going, this is great. But it helped me to, again, solidify and build a bit more confidence around some things that natively within Data Cloud are not out of the box. So now I can go and say, oh, if it's not there, I can extend it. I don't want to go and do coding on Apex, even though I can do that. I would much rather find a way to do it through Flow, because I can teach the users who will own the platform after we finish with them. So let's make it easy for them to operate, to maintain, and extend if they need to. And that's why I found like that was fabulous learning. It gave me a few additional points to explore my practical learns, and yeah, kind of enabled a lot of other things. And then for marketers in the room here, Agentforce Marketing. That's pretty much the next generation of marketing on Salesforce. And again, please, like, the idea is not to challenge this, like it's not the same as Marketing Cloud engagement. Yes, it absolutely is not, and nor should it be. It's a different paradigm. It's a shift from the way we did things back then to how they need to be done for the scale of tomorrow. There are deficiencies, there are limitations in some things. All of that doesn't really matter. There's enough capabilities and features today to do successful implementations of marketing that sits on Salesforce platform, that it takes advantage of the data that is now in Data 360, and it starts stepping into the agentic sort of assistive experiences with campaign deployments, campaign builds. That's going to continue to evolve as we go more and more into the future. So that's ultimately it from my side. And I will just open the floor to any questions. And if you do feel like connecting with me on LinkedIn, more than welcome to send me a note. And yeah, let's see if there are any questions from anyone.
Thank you so much, Lad. So I see that we have few questions in the Q&A section for you.
Okay, let me see if I can get that panel. All right. So, Lakshmi, Sales and Service Cloud data will be ingested to Data 360 by using standard data kits provided by Salesforce. No additional external connector or integration is needed. That is correct. So, yeah, one of the big benefits as you get to know and learn Data 360 is, and I'll probably do quick historical, not necessarily needed, but just I think for the sake of it. When Data Cloud was built originally, the vision from the product team was not to invest as much into the connectors on the platform level. And there's a subset available. Today, if you look at what is possible to connect to, there's more than 150 connectors in the catalog. You can connect to so many different systems natively, meaning that the traditional problem of integrations to bring the data from point A to point B is so easily solvable today with all these connectors. Specifically for Salesforce products, everything that kind of shares the data with Data 360. So Marketing Cloud, whether it's engagement or account engagement, commerce products, Sales and Service Cloud products, all of this information exchange is not metered. So you can almost think of that extension in a true sense how the platform and vision of the product was for Data 360 be a foundation for data layer of the Salesforce CRM in the future. It truly is, because now all of this information comes into a single place. There is no extra cost to pay for that. There is no extra worry about how you need to do that, what connector you use, what middleware you use. It's like natively plug and play. Super easy to deploy, super fast to deliver. And this is one of the key areas where the time to value from connecting, plugging it in, and taking advantage and taking action of that is very quick and easy. So yes, that's correct. No additional work required. You just configure it as a wizard style approach and off it goes. And I think that's the ultimately answer to Shivali's question: how does Data Cloud integrate with other Salesforce products? Yeah, most of that is just pretty much native. So very easy to do, very easy to achieve. Just enable the connector, get the data in, and off it goes. Very, very cool to do. And in the same way, this is extension to, as I said, other products. If you look into bringing data from different marketing automation platforms, from different ERP systems, from structured and unstructured data storage, like heaps and heaps of connectors just becoming more and more available with the time. So it's one of the really cool things to learn.
Thank you so much, Lad. Anyone has any other questions? You can just post it in the chat.
Headless 360. Well, I'd probably say that's a good one. The question is, what is the Headless 360? This is something that's just been shared on TDX this week in San Francisco. Ultimately, in my understanding and take of it, is the future of Salesforce CRM is truly evolving towards, ability to connect across different systems, less focus on the user experience as much in terms of what the traditional CRM was, how you configure and set it up, to becoming more and more powered through, almost like server to server activities. Because I look at that like agentic experiences, they do have multiple sides. You've got you as a user interacting with an agent, or you've got system to system conversations that could be powered through these agent or different agentic services. And by default, or by virtue of the fact that because it's a system to system, it solves, to me, the problem of integration that we had in the past. How do we connect platform A with the platform B, make it easy, and they both understand each other when the data exchange takes place? So that is ultimately where it's heading. So headless ultimately is a principle where you don't really depend on the user activities and user interface. You kind of operate at the layer where it's the system to system conversation, and you enable process exchange, process triggers, data exchange between them without user intervention.
I hope that answers your question, Lakshmi.
Nice. All right. Okay, how does the Data Cloud handle privacy and consent? Great questions. As part of the capabilities, I guess, so there are a few ways to look into that. There is one element of handling the privacy and consent as part of the data processing. So as a product, similar to most of the Salesforce products, it does have ability to request, deny processing of information, storage of information. So you can request to be forgotten through the platform, as long as the customers, or rather users of the platform, enable this capability. So that's about how do we kind of remove the information or don't process it when there was no explicit consent to do that. There's a second part of that in terms of privacy, I guess, where it comes down to how can you secure the data on the platform? So maybe there's API information, there's personal health information that not every single individual should be able to see and operate with. And today there are capabilities that sort of extend Shield offering and provide ability to sort of mask data within Data 360, Or by default, you have ability to apply different policies where the information can be effectively hidden between different users if they meet a particular policy requirement or do not meet it. So there are ways to handle both. How do you collect, store, and process information? How do you apply consent for using that information maybe in the marketing context? So your opt-in preferences and so forth. And Data Cloud has pretty sophisticated support. Like you can effectively model the entire, 5 or 4 at least levels of consent if you need to. And at the same time, it could look into the expression of consent, within more simplistic terms. When you need to look and say if someone opted in from communication, I don't necessarily need to include them into the segment or exclude that. It is not necessarily a consent management tool, and actually it is not a consent management tool, but think of that, it's informed, it stores the information of the consent, and you can apply and use it within different use cases. You can think of that as a data store as opposed to the system that enforces it across different experiences, to kind of cover, because I think that's quite an important one. Question from Santosh: why do we need Data Cloud if we have Salesforce objects? This is really a good question. And if you think about traditional Salesforce storage, there is the question of, and I did learn at some point in time, and I've been reminded of that so many number of times, that Salesforce CRM, traditional Salesforce CRM with S-object storage, is probably one of the most expensive databases in the world. And that to me was like, wow, okay. It doesn't scale as much or as well as it needs to be for the needs of today. It doesn't support so many use cases where the information needs to be available quickly. It needs to be processed with large volumes. So that's where, when the Data Cloud was designed and developed, the idea was it's almost like bring the modern B2C needs of data storage and processing into the traditional, very transactional, very rather structured, almost like customer-centric database engine to be able to scale the storage and processing capabilities almost indefinitely. And to me, this is where the future vision of the product sort of started coming through, and it truly is. But then evolution of that led to the point of saying, well, if you do have a data mart that provides you, a solution to a Salesforce CRM, why can't we extend it to Salesforce platform? So then that's how the whole Data 360 became into being. Is it just became almost a new layer of thinking from standpoint of architecture. If you've ever seen Salesforce Advantage breakdown, you've got underlying principles of the platform, and there's one layer that is data. So Data 360 today is that foundational layer within the platform services, if you will, that enables all the business line applications. It provides API connectivity. It services, as a data foundation for AI and agentic services. So it truly is all-encompassing. And therefore, if you thinking about, we just only operate in Salesforce CRM, we've got this objects, that's still valid, and you do have that, and it will continue being there for at least foreseeable future. But at the same time, when you start thinking about just slightly outside of CRM context, and that's where that challenge becomes a solution, because you now don't need to think about integrating and exchanging the data between CRM like sales and service and marketing cloud or commerce platform or any other external system. You think about loyalty capabilities. When you bring all of this information together, like the platform level storage is doing a certain purpose, but as you start looking into a single data solution, like a data tier within the platform foundations, then you need something that is a bit more scalable than just S-objects. All right, what are the good products and tools to sync data real time between two Salesforce orgs? Can we utilize Data 360? What timings? What things to keep in mind while choosing that? Yeah, I mean, Data 360 allows you to connect the systems. The main thing is, don't treat it as the connector. It's not the middleware. It's not supposed to be just pumping the data as a pass-through from org 1 to org B. The idea would be think of that, and that's actually one of the interesting use cases. So you have two lines of business operating two different CRM orgs, but they need to be making certain decisions or work based on the data that is not shared, but exists in the other org. So you have two options. You can either connect and expose the information between the orgs, or you can centralize all that, build whatever data model you need, and then provide that view into either or both CRMs to be able to say, I want to see and reference the information that's stored in a data cloud as a holistic view of all the data that sits across both orgs. But you don't push it to the every org. You just consolidate into D360 and then make it available to both systems to interact with that. So that would be the way of thinking about this connectivity going forward. Do you have a unified profiles practice in Data Cloud? Yes, you do. Since Data Cloud contains data from multiple sources, the user enters the cloud from two different systems with different unique IDs. How do we determine the user unique identification in Data Cloud? That's a good question from Critica. There is specifically capability to do unification of individuals. You can use attribute-based matching set of rules. It is deterministic, meaning that you do need to define the rules. You have to provide, attribute sort of set to say, I need to look at the combination of personal profiles, maybe some identifiers, and see if they have a match. You can have, a bit of a fuzzy matching across these profiles. You can say, I want his exact match across email addresses. I want to look at the normalized phone numbers expressed in the same way in format. I want to look at the person last name as an exact match, but I can allow for the fuzzy matching on the first names. So a combination of 4 attributes could lead to the point where Vlad and Vladimir can be treated as the same person as long as all other 3 are equally the same. It can take advantage of the IDs, but at the same time, it can just use attributes, and that's most of the time what you end up using for the customers. In the cases where, as you said, absolutely unique IDs across the systems, it still provides a really good capability to address that. And maybe last question from Rizwan. Currently preparing for the Data Cloud Consultant certification, studying through Trailhead and the official documentation. Would love to hear if you had any additional resource suggestions or tips. I mean, there is another bootcamp running right now specifically for certification with the marketing teams. I would probably encourage to have a look, because one thing I would say, there was a recent refresh to the exam. I know from all the study materials in the past, because I was covering, and I think I've got another session to go for data ingestion and transformation. In the past, we didn't really cover in the exam much of the transformation capabilities, but it has been extended to explicitly include that as an area of focus for the knowledge. So I'd say if you join or view the videos of that particular cohort for the MC learning group, then it probably would be some of the most recent updates to some of the areas of the study. I mean, trail mix usually is a good indication of what you should know, but it really depends on how deep the trail mixes are and how much you are able to practice. So I would always encourage one thing: do things in the work. Like, that's, to me, is the best way to learn, because you practically remember some of the experiences, and it's much easier to answer the questions on the exam when you actually have been in the org and play with it. So that would be my advice. Cool. Thank you for all the questions. That's great.
I think those were the best questions that I've seen so far. Thank you, everyone, for participating there. And thank you, Vlad, for answering those for us, and for every other person here. Alfia?
Thank you so much, Vladimir, and thank you, Vaseem. Thank you, audience, for being so interactive. Let me just quickly share my screen. If you guys would like to connect with us over LinkedIn, you can just scan the codes. Hold on.
Alfia, are you trying to share the screen?
Yep. It somehow doesn't allow me. Just give me a sec.
Sure. All right. While she's pulling up the screen, Vlad, I think the current sessions that the bootcamp that is happening for MC learning from JB, Are you a part of it at the moment, or do we have new speakers there?
Yeah, I'm doing 2 sessions. I've done one, I think, this Thursday, and there's one more coming on Tuesday. But yeah, there's quite a few. There's about 6 presenters besides me who are sharing like different sections of the application, because yeah, there's quite a lot to cover. So
Yeah, can imagine. But I mean, that has been, I mean, game changer for the community. I mean, that is actually helping a lot of people, a lot of folks. And whenever we reach anyone who reaches out to us, or when we reach out to someone, they mention it every time. So that is actually making an impact on people's life. So thank you very much for doing that, and thanks to JB as well.
absolutely, yeah.
And thank you for taking out time today for us. I know it's too late for you, but thank you so much for that.
Pleasure.
So, guys, here are the LinkedIn pages for the Salesforce product training and the Pride Post LinkedIn page. If you guys would like to scan, you can go ahead for maybe upcoming sessions, whatever they are planned by the Pride Force team. You will get it alert of it. And there is some more QRs for the Salesforce Marketeers group. So we on and off make sure that we are conducting sessions. Those are like sometimes we conduct virtual, and there are in-person sessions also in Pune. So happy to connect.
All right then. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alfia. Thank you, Roshan, and thank you very much, Vlad, for doing this for us and for the community. We really appreciate that, and we are hoping to host some more sessions with you. We'll come up with, and we are definitely going to bother you, and we'll take your time again, and yeah, we'll host some more in the future. Roshan, would you like to add something?
Just extending my warm regards and thanks, Vlad, again. Yeah, like you have accepted just a request on just on one ping. So thank you very much for your time there, and looking forward for more such valuable sessions from you. Thanks.
Before we wrap up, is it okay for folks whosoever is comfortable to come over the video so that we can have a picture together?
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. I think, let me try to make them a presenter. Presenter. I hope Rashmi is free today. Lakshmi is free today. Yeah. Let me try to bring her up. All right, I think we have 16 at the moment. Alfia, over to you. And then you can close as well.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So, but I don't see people coming over.
All right, guys, if you're there, we would like you to just, switch on the camera so that we can take a quick picture for the LinkedIn. Thank you, Zayan. Thank you, Rizwan. Thank you, Jackson. All right, I'll take a quick one. All right. I think I got one, Alfia. I'm okay. Hey, Kritika.
Yeah, I still see people are coming over, so I'd like to take it now. Thank you, guys.
All right. So thank you very much for sharing your Saturday with us for this 1 hour. We really appreciate, and yeah, hope to see you soon again in the virtual session that will be coming up.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.